Distance learning week 6, here we go.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater. Interior.
Yep, been busting some people not doing their work this week. I commend most of you doing a really good job staying on track with all this. Keep in mind that these are all going to count as credits, and I definitely don't think you want to skip this third try of this history class because we can't really redo it. So we're at week 6. If you take a look at what we got in here, first day, we're going to kind of begin the part of, if you notice from last week, getting into case study number 2 about apartheid. There's kind of a duality to the apartheid and how it started. One, very similar to the United States, is that this went back into this kind of God-given manifest destiny in South Africa where the Boers, who had taken over part of South Africa, really had this kind of covenant with God feeling of their superiority. But then it got much more specific in the mid-20th century. And that's what we're going to look at first, is this kind of land ownership element and some of the real basic kind of administrative law type of acts that started to happen in the early 20th century and then were extended as time continued. So that's a pretty brief discussion. Again, we're looking at about 5 to 6, 7, 8 sentences, just kind of explaining how significant land ownership went into the apartheid process. The second assignment is very engaging, and this may take a little time. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with this, but this is an old video, and there's a little link here that brings you to a guide about this video. But basically, the video link is right here. There also are links here that take you to actual parts, because this is an older video that looks at how different people were impacted during apartheid, because there wasn't a shared experience. And this is one of those things that you can kind of get into the similarities of segregation in like the North and the South in the United States. And it looks a little bit at like the way that different people were impacted by apartheid. And so I have these divided where you can click on the link and it'll go actually to the right place in the video to watch. And what I want you to do is basically just watch 2 of the clips, compare the lives of the women, and make a list of as many similarities or differences as you can. Now, this isn't an actual turned in assignment. I just want you to experience what 2 of the people went through. And really, it's only about 20 minutes of a video. Each one's about 10, 15 minutes if you look at each person. Then we're going to use those notes as well as some of the reading information that's here. And this is, again, basically a web. There's a chart that's here, and then there's some different readings to look at some of the different laws that were passed to extend and impact that segregation. What you'll see is that the videos that you see, you should be able to link up with these actual laws that were passed and see kind of the comparison of like what that experience was for those individuals that you looked at. And again, you're just making a chart. There's an example of one right here that you can use to help you. Otherwise, you can kind of make your own. And we've done this before over the last few weeks. Several of you are doing a really good job making your own. You're using some of the software that I showed you for those links. And again, just kind of do whatever you want, but you want to follow kind of this same plan. And you can write this out too if you'd like. All right, so then day 4 is a little further analysis specifically at one element of these things that you're reading about, and these are the pass laws. This was kind of an interesting uniqueness of this system, and part of that was this idea of the pass laws, where in order for people to work in the urban areas and to work for certain members of the South African whites, you had to have these books and you had to carry them around. They had to be signed off. A very, very extreme version of that kind of race separation. And so there's a little reading here, and then there's some videos that you can watch, but essentially you're supposed to watch those and then write an essay that explains how that was used by the National Party to create overall a kind of stronger apartheid system in South Africa. And then lastly, you're going to have this summative, and the summative is a little bit more of kind of the question answer type of summative with a little bit of short essay and essay built into it. And then again, that'll be due Sunday. It'll only be accessed to you on Friday morning. All right. And so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, never hesitate to ask, email, Schoology message, or hit me up in office hours. That is week 6.